Alright guys, welcome to BowHunterPlanet's test lab. Today we are going to be going over the brand new mini inline vertical crossbow from Hickory Creek Incorporated. So I have it here in a couple pieces to show you exactly what this bow looks like when it gets shipped to you. So very compact, very similar front end to something we've seen on a couple other crossbows out there in the industry. But what really sets this crossbow apart is its configuration, and I'm going to show you that right now. So to get this ready, you'll slide this right in here. Standing it up, you'll tighten down this bolt right here, this nut right here. Nice and snug. There's no play in that front end at all, and you're ready to go. This is something you can backpack in, something that you could carry out fully assembled, super lightweight, very easy to use. So a couple impressive things about this bow is its adjustability. So a lot of crossbows on the market come in at a fixed poundage. You can't adjust the limbs on it at all. This one here, you can adjust anywhere from 100 pounds all the way up to 150 pounds. So this is something if in the summertime you want to shoot it a whole bunch, maybe have some friends over, play with it in the backyard. It'd be a great target tool, something you can have a lot of fun with. But when you want that little extra speed, little extra kinetic energy, you can go ahead and use that full 150 pounds to get that speed that you need out of it to really perform. This bow does go 335 feet per second with a 350 grain arrow. It's 17 inches axle to axle, so very, very compact. Uses a scope, doesn't use a peep or a bow sight or anything like that, even though it is a vertical bow. But it's 27 inches long and has a 13.5 inch power stroke. So very similar to some other crossbows, but in a completely unique configuration. Tons of adjustability. You can move the grip around in front. Triggers here, so more of a bullpup design. But yeah, I'm excited to get shooting this. Should be pretty fun. This one works is a little different than your average crossbow. You're actually going to cock this by hand. So you'll take this piece right here, you'll slide it back, exposing the actual trigger hook. You'll then place this right on the ground with your foot in the stirrup, just like you traditionally would. You'll grab the string on either side of that D-loop. Now on their website, they do recommend you wear gloves, and if you're going to be doing this a lot outside, I would definitely recommend wearing a leather glove as well. But right on either side of the D-loop, pick it right on up, hook it right there, and you're good to go. At this point, you'll lift it up, keeping your hand below the cables. You'll push down on the safety here. Push it right onto the string, just like you would a traditional arrow. Sticking it right in the arrow rest, and it's ready to go. You will want to slide this back forward because this is your cheek rest. This is where you'll be placing your head. Alright, so as far as the safety goes, there's a safety mechanism that goes right here. This goes behind the trigger and prevents the trigger from pulling backwards and shooting the bow. So when you're ready to shoot, we'll actually slide that right out of the way. Now before you cock it, you're going to make sure that that is engaged just so the trigger doesn't let go. Alright guys, so simply for decocking this crossbow, you can actually pull this cheek slide right back, exposing the trigger box. Go ahead and grab it with your hand, pick it right off, and let it right back down. So super easy, cock it, decock it. Another great feature of this crossbow as well. As you saw, we disarmed it very easy. I mean, decocking it was super simple. What's really cool is, I mean, they've got cranks available for them, so if you do need a crank for it, that's available as well. The poundage is even adjustable, so you can get it from that 125 pounds, 100 pound range, something more comfortable to shoot if you're going to target shoot with it. Can get them in right and left-handed, which is very rare for crossbows. A lot of them you have to adjust, but because this one's specific, right and left-hand models are available, and you can customize it with red dot scopes, AR open sights, all that stuff. You can put all that on as well. Also, what's really cool about it is it can be drawn and shot with one hand for people who need are one-handed shooters, but it does take a little bit of practice because it is a little heavier in that scenario. They do use arrows and not bolts, so by using an arrow, you're actually able to use the spine of the arrow to make better shots, group the bow a little bit better, and also change up depending on what you're using it for. Does use a string loop for consistent arrow nock placement, keep the cams in sync. The rail is also very quiet because there is none. So your bow is going to be faster. There's going to be less resistance, and also there's no need for wax or rail lube. And the string will last for thousands of shots, which is much different than other crossbows out there. Uses an arrow rest, so you're able to tune and really get those fixed blades or mechanicals hitting exactly behind your field point every single time. So we just finished shooting the Hickory Creek Inc. mini vertical crossbow. Very impressed by the way this bow shot.
Hey Chris.
Hey, what's up? Shot pretty darn good for such a small package. Very powerful.
I heard you talk about this bow and I had to jump in.
Absolutely.
Just because it was such a cool little bow. When they called us and wanted us to do this bow, I was actually really excited about it because it's so different. I mean, you don't see anything like this, you know? And I thought, man, we've got to have this bow in-house to play with. And to be honest with you, it is a lot of fun to shoot. Like, I had a blast shooting this thing. Chris, let's go through real quick, like what the steps are of drawing it, because most people don't understand. It's kind of like a mix between a compound and a crossbow, because it has some of the same concepts of a regular compound. But the difference is you're basically taking it and turning it sideways a crossbow, and you're able to use your trigger finger to shoot, which makes it a little different. But let's go through the process real quick that you and I were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. So a couple things that you can do with this crossbow, as far as drawing a vertical bow. Yeah, it is a vertical bow, but it feels so much like a crossbow, but at the same point, it's kind of vertical cross.
Well, we'll just call it the bow.
We'll just call it the vertical bow. Vertical crossbow.
Bow.
I have no idea.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't
But you know, whatever it is, it's
cool.
a very cool concept and very different. So, as far as cocking it, it's going to be exactly like you would with a regular crossbow if you were doing it by hand, with the exception of you're not pulling it against a rail. You're pulling it to basically, you're pulling your D-loop basically to your trigger.
Almost like a trigger, yeah.
Yeah, so you're basically putting it right on the trigger, making sure you have the safety engaged before. That's very important.
So it's manual safety.
Manual safety right here behind the trigger box.
Behind the trigger, it's manual, so you got to make sure that piece of metal's there. What that does is does not allow for you to go. So that's your first step. You don't want to forget that step. And then secondly, you're going to put your foot through the stirrup. You're going to grab on with gloves on both sides to what the manufacturer recommends. You pull it back and you hook it onto your trigger loop,
basically
or whatever you want to call it, your
hook.
trigger, almost like that. And this gets pushed out of the way. That's your.
It's basically an anti-drift bear.
Okay, so that comes up, that goes down, or this goes hooks here, and then what happens is your arrow comes in, it pushes that out of the way, and it goes into your whisker biscuit. At which point you then close this piece on the top. And what that does is just is your cheek piece and protects your face a little bit from the cords, or if you have like a beard or something, you don't want to get caught in there.
Absolutely.
And then from there, you turn off your safety, which is right there, and then you're ready to go. Now, what was cool about this bow that Chris actually and I learned real quickly is how accurate it was.
Yeah, very accurate.
I'm serious, like stacking tight stacks. And he told me, he's like, he shot two, and he's like, man, it's stacking so well. I go up there, he said, just put it in the middle of the stack. I put it right in the middle, boom, sure enough, I almost robbed him, but it was that tight. So. And
now,
it breaks into two pieces, right?
Absolutely, so it breaks down super easy. But one thing I actually just noticed here that I don't know if this was on purpose with Hickory or if this was kind of an accident, but I'm seeing here that the whisker biscuit is actually mounted to where it can be adjusted. Ooh. So why is that important? So my tech side of me is going to come out right now. This is a crossbow system that you can actually broadhead to. Because you know, all those years you've had crossbows that wherever your broadhead hits and wherever your field tip hits, you got to live with it. There's not much you can do. There's very few bows on the market that you can actually tune that way. But you can move this rest left and right, up and down. You can reconfigure that. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but super cool idea. And especially with the break, I mean, you saw us put it together in the beginning. To break this down, we loosen that, slide that right off. You can fit that right into a little backpack.
And it's still accurate when we put it back together.
Put it back together, it's good to go.
And with that, you know, this is a great option for hunting. It really is. It's a really cool option. Something different and a lot of fun. So check out Hickory Creek online today. Again, the mini inline, really cool. And the next gen camo too, I noticed that's pretty sweet. So we'll see you guys next time on the show, and click below for the speed test. Chris is going to put it through his paces right now on the speeds. We'll see you next time. Next time.